Reesfield here. Today I'm going to teach you how to clean a 22 Savage Arms long rifle bolt action. So what I've done here is I just took it, I took out the clip, took out the bolt, and I took off the strap. So now what I have here is just the gun right here without any moving parts. I put it in the vise, and let's get to cleaning it. So what I got here is I got some patches which I've cut in half, some oil, and then some solvent, and then I got this rod. This rod is specially designed for 22, and you'll need separate rods for any other bigger caliber weapons or smaller. So what I'm going to do here is I've already put half a patch through here. I'm just going to dip it around here in the solvent, get it all nice and wet. I'm only going to do this once, so turn it around here, hold it by the little thumb grip here, put it on through the hole, hold the stock and push it through. It's going to be a little rough at first, and then it's going to pop out the other end there, and if you can see how black that is, that's because it's been shot quite a few times, so I'm just going to throw that in the trash. And then pull it right back through. And now we can put away the solvent, because we only do that once. That's only the first time to kind of loosen everything up. Now I'm going to just put a bunch of dry patches through just to pick up all the powder, because after you shoot and you just leave it and put it in your case or in your cabinet or whatever, the gunpowder tends to harden to the side. So if you use solvent, that kind of loosens it all up, and these dry patches ought to pick up all the powder that we just loosened up. So I'll do this probably 3 or 4 times, just push it through nice and steady through the middle. There we go. See, it's still kind of black. I'm wanting them to kind of turn out somewhat clean, so it's just like a yellowy, oily color. If it turns out to be that, then I know I'm done. But see, there's still traces of black there, so maybe 2 more. So, and if you get a little bit of drips of solvent on the wood, that's fine. Just get a rag later and get it up. And yeah, most of these items you can just purchase at Walmart or Gander Mountain or Cabela's or something like that. So yeah, so I'm getting another patch through, running it through again. And if it doesn't get through, or if it goes too easy, just adjust the size of the patch. If it's too hard to push through, cut the patch down to a smaller size. If it's running through very easy, the patch is too small and you need a bigger patch. So these I think are actually made for 22 or something like that. So one more probably, maybe 2 at most, and then we'll do the oil and the rub down after that, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is probably the last dry patch I'm going to put through. This is the 3rd one. See how it's getting easier? That's because it was really hard at first, but it's getting easier because there's not that much powder to pick up. See, this is almost good. It's about 80% white, maybe a few little bits of black here and there. That means maybe 1 more, and then I'll be done. Oh, and notice I'm not going in and out with the patch, because if I push all the bad stuff out and then rub it back through, I'm doing nothing. I'm just putting a ton of powder back in the barrel. So I push it out, throw it out, pull it back through empty, and put another one in. It's always what you do, because if you pull it in and out, then you're just going to leave the same amount of powder you started with inside your barrel, and maybe it'll corrode, and you don't want that. So, last dry patch, run it through here. This one ought to be the last one. Yep, that was very easy. Alright, so that's done. It's like about 95% white. That's perfect. So now I'm going to pull it back through. This time I'm going to use oil, gun oil. That will, now that I've taken all the powder out, it's going to leave a nice smooth finish in it, so that even the slightest traces of gunpowder in there won't corrode it. So I'm just going to put it in here. I'm going to stop right there in the place right there where the round ejects. I'm going to flip this open here. And see how there's that little black piece there? I'm going to put one drop on this side and 1 drop on this side, so that there's equal amount of oil. So 1 there, 1 there. I'll just put 2, just so there's enough oil. Not coming out. There we go. So now that there's some oil, I'll just close that. It's always good to have this little countertop rag here in case you drip anything. And I'm just going to push it through. And that ought to leave a nice smooth finish inside the bore there. Now, what you do with this now, okay, so the rod's done, you don't need the rod anymore, you don't need any chemicals anymore. What you can do with this now is this still has a lot of oil on it. My fingers are wet because there's so much oil on it. So now there's a really nice smooth barrel on the inside, it's all cleaned up, but the barrel might be like rusty or something, like if you ever had hunting out in the rain or something like that, or if you dropped it in the snow, and there's little dots of rust here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the same oily rag, and just going to wipe every bit of metal on this entire barrel here, just so you leave a nice smooth finish. And actually oil is water repellent, so this will keep like the dampness or the dew off your rifle for quite some time. You'll only need to do this about once a month. Keep your weapons nice. So I'm just going to do every single little bit of wood on this whole, metal on this entire gun here. And if you have oily fingers, don't touch the wood because it actually might swell the wood or something. So don't really try to touch the wood with your oily fingers. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to wipe down the magazine as well because that probably gets a little rusty too, being out there in the rain. And then, so that's a little bit dirty. That's just how much dirt was on the outside of the gun and how much rust was on the outside. That's pretty bad. So I'm just going to do one more little thing here, probably the most important part. Put some oil on this little patch here, maybe one drop. Yep, that's probably enough. Now, where all the little explosions go off to set off the bullet is right there, the firing pin. See how black that is? It's supposed to be shiny silver like that, but that's black. That means it's been fired quite a few times. So I'm just going to grab this oily patch here and take out all the black powder on here until it's very nice and shiny there. See the difference? Much nicer now. So that's that. Yeah, look at that. That's just how black it was just off the bolt face. That's pretty bad. Alright, so now we're all done with that. So, get some kind of a cloth or a napkin and take the oil off your fingers. See how shiny the barrel looks? That's actually really, really good. Now, if you see here, my thumbs and my forefinger accidentally rub some oil on the wood. That's not bad, but it's not that good either. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a napkin and try to get all the excess oil off because I don't want it swelling the wood or getting into the wood. So I'm just going to rub that off there, and then that ought to be plenty good for today. And then what I'll do is I'll just take this out of the grip here. This makes it a lot easier to do it because you don't need to hold the gun. There. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to slip the magazine back in there, hold the trigger down, slide the bolt rack back in there. Make sure you pull the trigger there just to make sure that's not on fire the whole time. And then, depending on what kind of strap you have, if you have a strap or not, it'll be certain different ways to put the strap back on. Mine is a little hook and latch system. I think it's pretty neat because it doesn't come undone really. So I'm just going to push that there and tighten it. That's all I got to do there. See, now the front is done. Tighten it. And I'm just going to, careful not to touch any of the metal because remember, it's all oily. So I'm just going to hold it on my knee here. Then tighten the last one. So put it in there. Push and pull. Good. Once you got it in, tighten it up. Tighten, tighten, tighten. There, now it's tight. So this is much better looking than what I had before, and see how smooth running that sounds. So always remember that you're supposed to put the trigger guard back on because it's probably illegal in some states not to have a trigger guard on it. So just always remember before you put it back in your safe or behind your closet or whatever to slip a trigger guard on there so that nothing accidental happens when you're not looking. I'm just going to slip this on here. Make sure it's in that little piece right there. Click it on until you hear it crack 3 or 4 times. And then slip it in your case. And that ought to be good. And then your gun ought to be pretty safe and clean. So, that's that. See you later, guys.